morning and welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you came to join us today. And this morning, we have a special guest from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He's an actor and a comedian. And you're thinking, yeah, Andy's got another comedian. You're right. I love comedians. And Ray Cooper. Ray, welcome to Morning Moments.
Hello.
Hello. And how's things going there in Tennessee?
Oh, well, they're just going the best you can in Rona season.
Good. Well, you are such a delight. I've had some great times just talking to you and getting to know you before we started this interview. Tell me about yourself. What do you do and why do you do it? And some things about yourself, where you're at right now.
Well, I am, like you said, I'm an actor and comedian. I got a couple of things I've done with acting stuff as in Nashville and a couple of different TV shows and commercials. And I have a show on ETV right now. I said, like before, I'm the Redneck Svengoolie. Also, I do Christian comedy, and I've done it for about 7 to 8 years right now. And, I love being able to touch the audiences, be with them one-on-one, be able to tug at their heartstrings after I break the ice with a good one-liner. God has given me a gift, and if we don't use it, I'm a firm believer you lose it too. So I'm so thankful He gives me a way to reach out sometimes when it's so hard in a distractive world, to be able to reach out and touch somebody. And then if we don't have the right words to say, then a person can rush right in behind me and say the right words to touch that person. So I'm just really excited the season God has me in. Got a couple of Christian comedy events coming up in November, and I have a monthly thing I'm doing, which just, God will blow your mind if you let Him. And it doesn't take much to blow mine. Let's just put it that way. But God is doing a thing with me every month called Music City Hayride. I was just on there 2 months ago with Barbara Fairchild. So, when I did that, I was like, ah! And so, it's just, God is just blowing my mind, and I'm just letting Him do it, and I'm just walking through it. And, people have said, you're a Christian comedian doing a country music show. And I said, hey, I don't turn down any audience, because there's people out there and they need to hear me.
Yeah.
They need to be with me.
Yeah. Sometimes I think people get so turned into just doing church. And I always say, why go fishing in an aquarium? That's where the fish are at.
It is.
Go into all the world. 2/3 of God's name is go. So let's go into all the world. And sometimes God puts us in places that others may not be able to go to. And, right in the middle of that situation, either on stage or off stage, you're able to share God's love.
Oh, yes. I'm just excited for the season God's got us in. And like we were talking about earlier, I do believe that our time is limited to witness and to help. And so we need to focus like never before. This is a season of focus, putting your eyes on the prize. And it's not about, oh, what's the biggest venue I can play? Or, ooh, am I the comedian of the year? Or, ooh, am I the biggest reward I can get? Because guess what? These things down here, they're gone anyway.
Yeah.
All I want to be remembered for is I want to be that person that reached down their hand and was the hand of the Lord that grabbed that person up when they felt like that life had thrown them away. That's what I want to be remembered for.
Our speed is not as important as our direction. So often we see people going fast, but they're going in the wrong direction. And so I would rather slowly go where God wants me than quickly going in the wrong way that He would have me. And I can't do that unless I listen to what He wants me to hear, to where He wants me to go. You had a change in your life. There was God made a miraculous a salvation effort for you, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I grew up in a very sheltered home. My mother was always sick, and so I was taking care of her through my childhood. She was a nurse, just like you. And so I developed almost like a trauma in my brain. It's called agoraphobia. If you follow Paula Dean's story or anybody that's had it, it's where you're afraid of people. If you're afraid of crowds, you're afraid. I've even had trouble making eye contact with people. And usually that's just my bill collectors, but now you're supposed to laugh at that. But I got addicted to prescription nerve pills, something terrible that I wouldn't want anybody to have to go through.
Yeah.
But God delivered me from that. After my mom died, about 2 weeks after she died, it was just like I was trying to remember her funeral and I couldn't even remember it because I was in such a stupor from the pills. And I told God, I said, if you'll let me out of this, if you'll deliver me from this, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And little did I know where I'd end up.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to trust God and allow him to do it. And that's part of my testimony because he delivered me from agoraphobia. He delivered me from nerve pill addiction. I will say that most people think a miracle, and some miracles are just like that. But it's a daily walk with him. So I just have to get up every morning. Now, I'll tell you, I work in hospitality in my real daytime job. So there are times I'm like, oh, sweet Lord, give me a blue pill so I can chill. But then I have to say, okay, God, you brought me from this place. So it's a daily healing. And that's what I tell people when I go.
It's amazing that, your story of agoraphobia, not algoraphobia. That's a different phobia. But your agoraphobia story, people don't realize, unless you've done stand-up comedy, how fearful that is. I've been in public speaking for 50 years, and the most nerve-wracking appearance I've ever done was stand-up. And you stand up in front of a crowd, and the expectations that you're going to create laughter, and when it doesn't happen, it's just. But for God to take somebody who was afraid to even be in eye contact with others and say, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. God doesn't call the equipped, he equips who he calls.
Exactly. It's so exciting to see what God can do. And that's what I tell everybody. I try to let everybody know nobody is exempt of something great God can do in your life.
Yeah.
We limit what he does because we hold his hand sometimes.
Yeah. And God doesn't look for our ability as much as he looks for our availability. And when we become available to him, Ray, I love your story about just God, whatever you want me to do. And he puts you in the right place at the right time. And sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes those appearances and sometimes those times are not all that thrilling and you got all the laughter. But I have found, even when I did stand-up comedy, the comedian I talked to before we went on stage was the reason I was there. And I shared Christ with that comedian before we did open mic, or the person who come up to me afterwards and I prayed with them. It's just amazing what God can do when you say, all right, I'm putting myself out there, God, it's up to you. And God takes over, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He directs our path. I tell you, every time I went on a set except for the ETV thing, that every time I went on a set, it's been a witnessing era. I mean, it was so funny. I trapped a woman on Nashville because, when you're on the set, you're there for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes while the actors, and it was so funny because the actors just kept messing up. And I was there and we were there behind the actors on the set. and I was witnessing to that woman. And it was all she could do just to stand there and listen to me. And here I am, just keep going and going and going and going.
We had a captive audience, did you?
I sure did. She couldn't get away. That's the best kind.
Yeah. Well, Ray, it's been great to hear your heart and your love for God and your love for the lost. What I'd like to do, folks, I would like to put Ray's contacts. If you got work for him, get a hold of him at church events. If you want to follow to see where he's at, so that you could go to some of the things that he is opening for country music artists, or even his own concerts, please look at his website for that. More important than anything else, I want you to be praying for Ray Cooper. And however you need to think of his name and think of him, but when his name comes to mind, a ray of sunshine, Cooper Tires, whatever makes you think of Ray, stop and pray for him, that God would bless him and use him in a great and mighty way, because God's got a hope and a plan and a future for him. And let me let you know that God's got a future, a hope and a plan for you too as well, if you'll just listen to him and find it. God's got great things for all of us. Ray, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for letting me be on there today.
All right. And we will stay in contact. It's so good to see you. And for those of you for Morning Moments, thank you for joining me, and keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.